Jambo mambo familia angu, karibu nyumbani kwangu. Mimi ni Eli-Ben-Eli. Uko vizuri? Nzuri. Ndio. Natumai yote ni sawa. Once again, habari gani, karibu. I'm happy to see each and every one of you, and I'm making a video early by way of testing a new little setup that I have come up with. I hope it works out okay. I hope the video looks okay. I hope the video sounds okay. I have two topics in mind that I wish to discuss with you today. But before I get to that, let me tell you, please, if you haven't liked and subscribed, support my humble little channel. The numbers are getting better slowly, but they're getting better. Please like, subscribe, and support. Participate, make comments, argue, whatever. Just be a part of this channel. And if you like or dislike, either way is fine. Just be honest, But I wanted to say, maybe ni Eli-Ben-Eli, by the way. And I just wanted to take an opportunity to discuss something that fascinates me. There in America, okay, let me say, it's pertaining to Marwa's nickname, the Traveling Commando. Let me explain something. In the United States, there is a name, and I don't know whether the rest of the world is familiar with this nickname or this title, or not. It's a description. Let's call it. It's called Going Commando. If you're a rough and tumble man, if you're a man's man, so to speak, you may not have a big passion. You may not have a big passion for wearing underclothing.
Hello, my
Wait. Okay. So you may not have a passion for wearing underclothing, and if you don't wear underclothing in the United States, it is called going commando. Going commando. Who is a commando? A commando is a very adaptable soldier who fights, and he doesn't worry about, the niceties. Okay? Naturally, it's assumed that a commando doesn't wear underwear. Do you see where this is going? When they call, so many people, so many of his followers use that title like it's an honorific, the traveling commando. If you are going commando, it is no different than traveling commando. It means that you are a man who is basically too I don't know what you would call it. You're rough and ready. You're going around with your bolo or your rongu, swinging to the left and swinging to the right. You're ready for any woman who comes along your way. This is what is behind that. I finally have figured it out. That's what's behind that name of commando. Okay, you got to remember that a lot of the passport bros are Americans. Okay, and they're a rough and ready American, ready for action, ready for any woman they meet. So they are what? They go commando and they travel commando. So when people are talking about when his followers adoringly call him the traveling commando, that he goes around with his bola swing. I was watching a video by Coco Obama, but there's a lifestyle. And he said something about donating a pack of for Marwa and his cult, because people may not want to say this. Yes, I've been told by a gentleman who lives in or has lived in, I don't know if he personally lives in Kenya, that in Kenya it is very common for men to dance with other men. There are people who insist that there's no such thing as homosexuality in Kenya. Well, when a man bends over in front of another man and shakes his ass, to me, that, I don't know, that looks kind of, all that I'm saying is, you know what, folks, send condoms down there. Send condoms down there. Let's make them available to Marwa, and his buddies. I noticed something when the gentleman from Dallas, Texas, came giving out gifts to the left and to the right. I noticed they were showing, just panning around the bedroom of Marwa. And, oh my gosh, this is funny. When they panned to the night table next to his bed, did any of you pay attention to what was sitting on it? A big old bottle of Vaseline petroleum jelly. I have always asked what, why the presence of so many young boys in Marwa's bedroom. People can say whatever they want. It's just not typical that a man in his mid-40s, even though he claims he's 33, or is it 23 or 13, whatever he's claiming, a man of that age has all these boys hanging around him. And he has a big bottle of Vaseline next to his bed. Okay, let's say for the sake of argument that he keeps that bottle there because he likes to keep his skin nice and shiny. Really? I mean, I have never been to prison, but I have represented and have known many men who have been to prison. And, it's like, you see, there's certain things that men do that requires them to have, how would I say, lubrication that the body doesn't normally produce. And that's what they use Vaseline for. And it's kind of like a part of street lore. It's part of the knowledge that people have that are familiar with the way of the world, that among gay men, Vaseline is a preferred lubricant. And why is that? Well, it's cheap, it's inexpensive, and it's effective. Now, it's like, I can tell you 1 + 1 + 1 equals something. But at some point or the other, you have to be willing to do the math yourself. Boys and young men hanging around him in private. I want to remind all of you of the time that Marwa was in Argentina park at night, and he saw two boys, and he calls to them. And folks, again, if you know the way of the world, there's something that men do in parks after dark. And if you see teenage boys hanging around those parks, you know what they're there to do. A lot of the time, they're male prostitutes. And he called out to these two boys and tried to connect with them, which raises the question, what was Marwa doing in a park at night in the first place? What are you not going to do in a park? Go for a good walk? For what purpose? Marwa claims to have been to 80, 90 countries around the world, and he doesn't understand what goes on in between men in parks and what the boys that hang out at those parks do. And he was trying so hard to reach out to these boys. Hey, What's your name? Come over here. And they ran. Okay, they ran because a lot of the time those kind of boys have the customers that they know, and if they don't know somebody in that park, their tendency is to run because a person could be the police or somebody who could get them in trouble, so they run. Natumiyo te sawa, familia Angu, Rafiki Angu. How are all of you? You know, I hope that all of you are well. You know, I hear that the flooding in Kenya is going on, and that some people are really, really suffering. And I fully support what Trending and M. Carroll are saying about how I think it's the book of Ecclesiastes. It has a portion that goes, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. Okay, and I'm sure that it doesn't say this, but I will say it all the same. There's a time to party, and there's a time not to party. When your fellow countrymen and some of you, even some of your own family, are drowning, losing their livestock, losing their homes, losing their crops, that isn't the time to party. And it certainly isn't the time to party for somebody like Strongman 254, whose wife and 2 children have been rendered homeless because of the flooding. You know, a lot of people are beginning to come to the conclusion that I came to a long time ago, and that is what is going on around Marwa is a cult. Okay, these people attribute supernatural powers to Marwa. They think that Marwa can lift them out of their circumstances, help them build up a channel, blah, blah, blah. You know, the workers of miracles are real and they're false at the same time. Yeah, he's helped some people develop a channel, and the channels work so long as he's around. You know, but whenever people hear the word cult, they automatically assume that what you're talking about is something involving worship. Let me explain something to you. One of the biggest faiths in the world happens to be the Buddhist faith. And a lot of people mistakenly assume that because of the reverence that Buddhists give to Buddha, that Buddha is seen as a god. He's not seen as a god. He's seen as a philosopher and a teacher who is highly honored. My point to you is this. Cults don't need to have a quote-unquote religious, affiliation. They do not need to, they don't necessarily need to be about religion as such. It may be centered around a person who everybody thinks has supernatural powers and who people practically worship. Doesn't that sound things like what's going on in good old Nyako? People's relatives are dying. They, what's his name? Churu, whatever. His brother died of leukemia, and he heard about it. And if I was told by my mother, may she rest in peace, while she was alive, that one of my brothers had died, or an important part of my family had died, I would immediately drop everything and head home and be of whatever help I could. If when I was married to my wife, every single weekend, she lived in a different part of Texas than I did. And every single Friday evening after work, I get in my car, I fill the tank with gasoline, and I would drive 7 hours to spend the weekend around her and my children. And this was just on a normal Saturday. It wasn't because there was a big rainstorm and they were homeless. I would just do it because I loved them and wanted to be around them. But you have all of these men like Strongman 254 who are prepared to sacrifice their family, sacrifice themselves, work as slave labor. A lot of those people that are working for Marwa are not getting paid anything. The farmer with the kitchen garden, he's not getting paid anything. Most of those people, the PAs, they're not getting paid anything. They're being provided with a place to live and food. Most slaves are provided with a free place to live and food, but their labor, they're not. They're giving that up for free. You know, there's a portion of the Old Testament that talks about slavery, and it says something to the effect that if the day of Jubilee comes for a slave, and the slave would rather be a slave, the master wants to continue being a slave to that master. What the master is supposed to do is make a hole in the slave's ear and put an earring in his ear. And that tells the world that he is voluntarily a slave. I don't know about many of the men, but I know that some of those women wear those earrings or, ear studs or whatever. The symbolism of that is not to be believed. I mean, part of the cultish behavior is that these people are voluntarily surrendering, putting themselves into bondage for Marwa. And it's amazing to see what's going on. I saw a video by, I believe I'm not sure, but I saw a video in which Marwa was going from room to room, showing these new doors that have been put into his house, and they look okay. But then I think Marwa did something. He got more than he bargained for. He went to the gentleman who put up the chandeliers, and he asked him to, he wanted. Marwa likes fishing for compliments. He wanted this man to tell him how beautiful the doors were, and he told him to please evaluate them. And it was really funny because what the man essentially told him, and I'm summarizing what he said. He kept saying, they look okay, but there are a lot. I give them a 90%. And he pointed out a series of problems. He pointed out that the material used was cheap, and that he pointed out that the windows that had already been put in used cheap aluminum, and that some of those windows were not really adequate for the job that they were for. And then there's this really ugly wooden door, or I don't know if it's wood or metal, that Marwa had put up. And the guy told him, this door needs to come out. And I mean, it's like Marwa goes, well, I don't want to take it down. He gave some reasons. Obviously, he doesn't want to spend any more money. But the guy tells him, this door doesn't go with this house. This door doesn't go, with the other doors. And the thing is that what began as Marwa trying to show off how beautiful his house looked turned into a complete fiasco, because what he was being told was, you have been taken advantage of. The scammer was scammed. These people pretended that they were doing such high quality work when in fact they were using crappy material, doing sloppy work. The banister on the second level of the living area is very, very shaky, and they have tried to reinforce it, and it hasn't quite worked. And you can see that not only was this man exposing the fact that Marwa had been scammed, you could see something very, very clever happening. He was pointing out to him that he had been scammed, and he was also setting him up to be scammed even more. Because whether the materials are cheap or not, they're serving their purpose. They're doing what they have to do. He was just basically working Marwa's, pretentiousness, that he wants everything to be the best, the most expensive, by pointing out on a regular basis how cheap everything was and how sloppily done it was. He told him to take down that door with the wooden frame, and Marwa was like, can't the flame be painted black? And the guy goes, that door just doesn't belong in this house. And, Marwa is a fool. He should never have asked that man to do an evaluation. He should have just kept quiet and been happy with the way that his house was. And by the way, something I have to point out. That those stairs have no railing, no banisters. Can you imagine what's going to happen the day that some drunken man or woman begins to climb those stairs or descends those stairs, slips or stumbles a little like drunks often do, and there's no banister there? I said it before and I'll say it again. The reason why somebody like Aaron Dante, after speaking to a lawyer, has chosen to stay away is because as someone who claims to own part of that property, even if it's just a room, in case of a lawsuit, he would be liable right along with Marwa. And if a judgment is entered against Marwa in reality has no money. The property that he has was given to him by his father, and the money that he used to build that place, some of it was his, a lot of it he begged for. Marwa has nothing. His lifestyle is very expensive. Traveling around pretending to be rich means that any money that he gets, he spends. So the question then becomes, who would end up paying a judgment entered against Marwa and the people who are supposed to be co-owners of his estate? If you want to call a ranch an estate, if you want to call the mosquito compound an estate. Anyway, that's why his sister's staying away. That's why Aaron Dante is staying away. If you have watched a video this long, please like and subscribe. And I thank you very much, Familia Angu. And, until the next time. I did this video early because I was trying to do an experiment, just a new setup that I'm using. In the meantime, Kwaheri. See you on the next go round.